G'day guys, my name's Adrian from Pilates Reformers Australia. Today I just wanted to give you a quick rundown on the C8 Reformer, on how to set it up, a couple of the adjustments, maybe a little bit of maintenance here and there. Okay, so this is the C8S Reformer. I just wanted to quickly show you how we would advise to set up Reformer for the most kind of common height client. So what I would do is I would have the spring bar in the position 2. If we consider the one being closest to the standing platform, then obviously the second one is position 2. So I put the spring bar in position 2, just have a few springs on there, maybe just put them all on for argument's sake. And then I would go to the straps. I would have the Align-Pilates brand facing to the outside, and I put the large strap over the shoulder pad on both shoulder pads, and then keep the carriage steady, grab both ropes through the rope lockers like so here, and then just yank those tight. So let's just say, for example, that one's long. Put it over here and then pull that side tight. Okay, so now they're both tightened off around the shoulder pads. We would assume the most ideal position for your customers is position 3. And so now when they do their hands in straps, our hand position is very close to directly above the shoulders, which is effectively the ideal starting position. In the case of a taller or shorter client, for hand work or even footwork for that matter, you might say want to go to position 4. If that's the case, what we'll do is we will now again tighten both ropes in here, which is in position 3, and then we move to position 4, which once again automatically sets the ropes where we want them to be. And vice versa, of course, we could have set it in position 1, the same scenario, which I won't go through as such, but yeah, as you can see, without adjusting the ropes, they're now way too short. So again, we lift the 2 levers, give that a nice little yank, out comes the ropes, put the levers back down. Hey, let's just do it again anyway. Yank bank both ropes. So they're both tight. Just push those levers down, just helps any possible slipping. In this example, you might want to use it in position 2. Once again, ropes are set perfectly level. So we'll just start down this end of the reformer. So on most reformers, you do have an individual stopper which stops the carriage, and to then move the spring bar, you need to remove the carriage stopper, sometimes on both sides, move the carriage stopper, move your spring bar, put your carriage stoppers where you want them, put your carriage back in, put your springs back on. With the Align integrated system, which is a patented design, we don't need to do that. As you saw when I was just in the ropes, I can literally adjust this carriage while someone may be laying on here. So I carefully ask them to politely just move their legs out of the way, and then I can adjust the carriage quite quickly for them. I might do that in a scenario if someone has been on the reformer that maybe they're a little bit shorter, they've finished with some footwork exercises. So we might want a nice right angle through their hips here. But then I get John who comes in, he's 6'1", he's gotten on the reformer to start up with his footwork, but his knees are quite close to his face. Very easy to quickly come along. Excuse me, John, if you don't mind, I'm just going to put you in this position for your footwork. John's now got a nice right angle to start his footwork. I might maybe adjust the bar a little bit as well if John's, 6'6". So moving on to the foot bar. As you can see, it's very simple. It's a manual system. The positive about a manual system, less things go wrong with the foot bars. So to adjust the foot bar up, it's just literally just drag it like so. You might find that creates a little bit of noise. Sometimes we like to say, hey, look, maybe if you just put your hand on there just to make that a little bit quieter. And obviously to go back down, I can just lift the bar and I can come all the way down where I might have that for the jump board or for standing work. A really good feature about this is this foot bar is nice and safely positioned here. It is not a trip hazard. You'll find some brands, there's quite a big gap there. The leg can fall down there. Obviously, that's not good. We don't want to start talking snapping bones. So this is nice and safe position out of the way. You also have the foot strap under here. It is a little tricky to adjust, but it is literally just a belt system where you can just pull that belt out of there, lift the buckles, and you can lengthen. I think you'll find in most cases, once you get a good set length, you probably won't adjust that too often. Okay, so there are some exercises where people might want to pull back on this bar. First, I would say that maybe just check that exercise is being done correctly, because in most cases you shouldn't have to pull back on this bar. I know there are some extreme exercises where it's a possibility. I also know that someone a bit older might want to use this bar to sit up. Of course, the bar can't go back any further than here, so you might want to just leave them in the high position so they do pull on it. However, you'll see there's a little rope hanging down under here. We have a handy little grenade pin, we like to call it, and that can actually go down underneath like so and lock the bar down. So it is possible to lock it down. It's not ideal in a group reformer scenario, but if you do have that 1 or 2 people that have an issue, then it is good to know that yes, you can lock it down by using this pin. Whilst we're on the pins, we'll go to the shoulder pads. You'll notice at the back here, the shoulder pads actually have an overhang. We do have a grenade pin underneath the shoulder rest here, and I'll pop that out, and you may notice that the shoulder pad can be completely removed. You do have an overhang here on one side. So if they're side by side, it increases the space here for broader people. And if I swap them around like this, it decreases the gap between their shoulders. So you can swap it around to suit someone who might be a bit uncomfortable with where the shoulder pads are. We usually set them ourselves. So this shoulder pad is actually on this side. So it is a smaller gap. Most people are more comfortable with the pad sitting on the muscular part of the shoulder as opposed to the bone. So that's something we want to do. You do want to make sure those pins go back in when they're in the low leg version, because they will sort of drag along the floor and make a little bit of unnecessary noise. So yeah, you need to get on your knees and put that back in. Something that can be a little bit of an issue for some people is the ends of the ropes dragging along the floor. They become like a little vacuum cleaner. They like to attract all the hair and dust that builds up. Main thing for me is they can make just a tiny little bit of noise because I'm super fussy. So what we can do, or what we like to do, is actually just take the end of both the part of the rope that enters under the carriage and just tie a little like shoe type knot on there. So that can just slide backwards and forwards, and it just keeps the rope generally off the floor. Of course, as the carriage comes back, ropes are going to hit the floor. There's nothing we can do about that. It happens on all brands. Whilst I'm here, that you do have a 3-position head support. I don't know if you even want to use that. I like to use our separate neck pillow because it actually provides a little bit of support under the neck. But yeah, if you're fine, you can just elevate that as well. We do have the adjustment of the pulleys. Again, it's something that most people don't use, but you do have, depending if you're on extension legs or not, a little bit of adjustment in the pulleys in case you just want to change that range of motion there a little bit. Okay, so just quickly on the jump board, make sure the foot bar is flat down. Make sure the locking knobs are not screwed in, so they are screwed out, otherwise the jump board cannot properly get in there. So I'll know by looking at the back here, if it's sitting flush down on the wood, it's in. Just when tightening the knobs, you want it to the point where the board is solid, but you don't need to really tighten this knob super, super tight. You only just need to, just make it so it's tightly fixed, but do not over tighten the knob. Okay, so an important feature on the Align-Pilates Reformers is you can adjust the legs or the feet. So if you are on a unstable surface, this one is now unstable because I've removed the foot. You can see how it wobbles. So you do have a little locking nut on here as well. It is something that gets overlooked a lot. So if the floor is uneven, I probably wanted to say this one is too low. I probably want to just wind that out a little bit, and I'm going to screw the foot back in, maybe even get a spanner to tighten this if it does want to move. But yeah, really important that these are not out of level. This is best done with 2 people, by the way. So yeah, foot goes back in here. As you can see there, it protrudes quite a lot. It's going to make the reformer uneven. Fortunately, this floor is quite level, so I'm going all the way back in. I'm going to give that a little bit of a tight squeeze there. These you can do tightly. Get that in nice and tight there. So now we have a nice and balanced reformer. It doesn't wobble. Again, like super important that you check these all the time, because if they become, or if they screw out through jump board, or say you've got a slippery floor and they screw out, then your reformer is actually not running level, and that can cause carriage issues potentially. So yeah, just always make sure that they are screwed in. Just on the maintenance side of these, I think probably the most hazardous area of a reformer really is the springs. So I think the best thing to look for if you have got a spring that's maybe pushing its lifespan a little bit is just ensure that the springs look straight. Make sure they don't sort of deviate at the end or something like, something looks odd about them. Of course, keep your ears out. If you hear funny noises of a spring, then that's an indication it has a problem, maybe under the carriage. If you want to, in your general maintenance, what I do is attach one spring, I open the carriage up, and I make sure that all this looks normal. There's no kinks, there's no like extra spaces between some of the ringlets, blah, blah, blah. I do that to every spring. Have a quick look, like so. If a spring shutters when it comes back in, like does a little bit of a wobble or something like that, generally you've got dirt built up around the ball of the inside of the spring. We like to use a little bit of lanolin spray in there, which you get from Bunnings, just to give that spring a little bit of lubrication and stops that shuttering, which can cause noise, but it's usually just a dirt thing. Most importantly, our pet hate as technicians, keep these runners clean. Wipe them as much as you can at the end of the day. Keep them clean. This is an anodized coating. It's 3 times harder than steel, but if you've got dirt building up in here, which does happen, it becomes the sandpaper, and at the end of the day, nothing will stand up to that constant motion of the wheels over the sandpaper. So, once a day, even once a week, worst case scenario, wipe your runners at this end, quickly push the carriage to the end like so, and then give them a wipe at this end, and make your reformers last forever. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Any questions at all, please email us or call us, info@prateam.com.au, and we'll get back to you straight away, and we'll answer all your questions. Thanks, guys.